The Mongol Empire, a force of nature that swept across Asia, seemingly unstoppable. Its conquests spread like wildfire from the steppes of Central Asia to the very heart of Europe. But on the eastern shores of the known world existed an island nation it could never fully tame: Japan. In the 13th century, the fearsome armies of Kublai Khan, the legendary grandson of Genghis Khan, twice attempted audacious invasions of the Japanese archipelago. But these were no ordinary battles. Legends of divine winds and ferocious warriors clashing on blood-soaked shores have echoed through centuries. This is the story of a struggle against the odds, a clash of empires that would forever shape the destiny of Japan. So, how did a relatively small island nation defy the might of the seemingly invincible Mongol horde? To understand why Japan defied the Mongol onslaught, we need to delve deeper into the world of the 13th century. In 1260, Kublai Khan ascended the throne of the Yuan dynasty, the Mongol Empire's Chinese successor. Kublai, ambitious and expansionist, set his sights on conquering the entirety of East Asia. Meanwhile, across the Sea of Japan, Japan existed in a state of near-constant internal conflict. The Kamakura shogunate, a military government led by shoguns, ruled the land. However, power struggles between rival samurai clans simmered beneath the surface. The samurai, Japan's warrior elite, were renowned for their fierce loyalty, strict code of honor, Bushido, and mastery of swordsmanship. Their fighting style, however, relied heavily on mounted individual combat, a stark contrast to the coordinated tactics of the Mongols. The Mongols, meanwhile, were a formidable fighting force. Their cavalry archers, armed with powerful composite bows, could unleash a devastating rain of arrows. They were also skilled in siege warfare, employing advanced gunpowder-based technologies to overwhelm fortified positions. However, Japan was not entirely unprepared. In the decades leading up to the invasions, the Kamakura shogunate, aware of the growing Mongol threat, began fortifying Kyushu, the southernmost island closest to mainland Asia. They also bolstered their ranks by calling upon a wider range of warriors, not just the elite samurai class. This move would prove crucial in repelling the Mongol forces. Yet, initial diplomatic attempts between the Mongols and the Japanese foreshadowed the coming conflict. Kublai Khan had repeatedly sent envoys to Japan demanding submission and tribute, demands that the proud samurai fiercely rejected. This defiance would set the stage for a pivotal clash of cultures and empires. In 1274, the first Mongol invasion fleet set sail from Korea. This armada carried an estimated 30,000 Mongol, Korean and Chinese troops towards Hakata Bay on the island of Kyushu. The Japanese, braced for the onslaught, were nonetheless outnumbered and outgunned. But their fierce determination and knowledge of local terrain would soon test the mettle of the invaders. The Japanese archipelago, with its mountainous heartland and rugged coastline, was a formidable obstacle for the conquering Mongols. Their cavalry, the backbone of their army, found its effectiveness drastically reduced. Hills, forests and narrow passages negated the speed and maneuverability that made them so devastating in continental warfare. Japanese warriors accustomed to fighting on this varied terrain were far more agile. Their lighter armor, while offering less protection against Mongol arrows, allowed them greater freedom of movement. While the samurai's traditional focus on individual combat initially suffered against the Mongols' disciplined formations, this emphasis on individual skill proved valuable in close-quarters skirmishes and guerrilla-style ambushes amidst the unfamiliar landscape. The Mongols, having conquered vast territories, likely underestimated the profound differences in Japanese warrior culture. While the Mongols were driven by expansion and material gain, the samurai were bound by the unwavering principles of Bushido. Honor, loyalty, and a profound acceptance of death fueled a level of fanaticism that likely surprised even the battle-hardened Mongols. This willingness for self-sacrifice would manifest in acts of astounding bravery. Tales of lone samurai charging into the heart of the Mongol army or fighting to the last breath on sinking ships would become legendary. Although tactically inefficient at times, these acts had a profound psychological impact, chipping away at even the most hardened Mongols' resolve. The Mongols, primarily a land-based empire, were at a disadvantage when it came to large-scale naval invasions. Their vessels, primarily sourced from Korea and China, were built ruggedly but were more accustomed to rivers and coastal waters. Japanese ships, while smaller, were highly maneuverable and better suited to the island's intricate coastlines. This difference played a significant role during the engagements. The Japanese employed hit-and-run tactics, relying on smaller, faster vessels to harass the Mongol fleet and hinder their ability to effectively land troops. This strategy disrupted the invaders' formations and exposed their lumbering ships to close-quarters combat, where the samurai's superior swordsmanship had a greater impact. The Japanese, learning from the setbacks of the first invasion, significantly improved their fortifications. The construction of the Hakata Bay Wall along the likely landing zone was a formidable obstacle. This barrier not only slowed the Mongol advance but also forced them into prolonged sieges, buying crucial time for the outnumbered defenders. Kublai Khan's armies were a multinational force consisting of Mongols, Koreans and Chinese. Varying levels of training, loyalty and differing combat experiences likely played a role in the overall cohesion of the invading force. These internal tensions may have become more pronounced as the losses mounted and resistance stiffened. Supplying and sustaining a vast invasion force at such a distance from major Mongol power bases proved a logistical challenge. The harsh realities of long-distance sea voyages and disruptions from Japanese harassment would have strained supply lines, leading to shortages and potential demoralization of the Mongol forces, especially during the extended second invasion. Despite the devastating setback of the first invasion and the significant losses sustained, Kublai Khan's ambition remained undeterred. Undoubtedly wounded in pride and facing potential challenges to his authority, he could not simply accept defeat. He may have believed that a second, even larger invasion force could overcome the obstacles through sheer overwhelming might. However, this decision may also highlight a fundamental misunderstanding of the Japanese resolve and their unique home-ground advantage. The unwavering spirit of the samurai, fueled by a profound sense of self-sacrifice and now amplified by their initial success, must not be underestimated. They demonstrated a willingness to fight to the last, making every foot of Japanese soil incredibly costly for the Mongols. Furthermore, the growing legend of the Kamikaze and the belief in Japan's divine protection served as a powerful psychological advantage for the defenders. Furthermore, while the Japanese were ultimately victorious, their triumph came at a grave cost. The strain on the Kamakura shogunate, both economically and in terms of manpower, was undeniable. This lingering weakness may have indirectly contributed to the instability and eventual decline of the shogunate in subsequent centuries. While a skilled historian acknowledges the role of chance, the timing of the typhoons that devastated both Mongol invasion fleets cannot be overlooked. These storms, occurring outside of the typical typhoon season and of remarkable intensity, were a stroke of unimaginable fortune for the beleaguered Japanese. The kamikaze, not merely a weather phenomenon, became enshrined in Japanese mythology as a symbol of heavenly protection. This belief in Japan's unique destiny would have profound consequences, shaping national identity and a lingering sense of invulnerability. Ironically, it would be this very belief, instilled in part by the Mongol failures, that would fuel Japan's own expansionist ambitions in centuries to come. The Mongols' thwarted ambition on the shores of Japan was a pivotal event. It marked one of the few major setbacks in the seemingly unstoppable expansion of their vast empire. For Japan, the consequences were profound. The legend of the kamikaze and the belief in Japan as a divinely protected land became ingrained in the national consciousness. This sense of unique destiny would endure, fueling both a resilient spirit and, at times, a dangerous sense of superiority that echoed into later periods of Japanese history. Yet questions linger. Could the Mongols have succeeded if not for the typhoons? Would internal divisions and the limitations of naval technology have doomed their ambitions regardless of the weather? Could Japan have withstood repeated concentrated attacks by the relentless Mongols? Historians can debate endlessly, but one truth is undeniable. The echoes of this struggle reverberate through time. We see them in the fierce pride of contemporary Japan, in its complex relationship with its past, and in the lingering fascination with this clash of empires that shaped the destiny of an entire nation. And that perhaps is why this chapter of history resonates so deeply with us today. If you found this journey through the past as captivating as I did, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more historical deep dives, and let me know in the comments what other questions of history you'd like explored next.